Should be officially live. All right. Looks like we are live. So welcome everyone to this brand new discussion. I have three new friends joining me today. First off, we have Liam Edwards. Do you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Liam. I'm a game designer and game director in Kyoto, Japan. Previously used to work for Q Games, where I was the game director there. Now working on some new stuff with a new team here in Kyoto. Do some podcasting as well. Nice to be here. Thanks.
Okay. And also join us is Matt Cap.
Hello, my name is Matt Cap. I am, a pixel artist mainly and a musician, but I worked on a game called Astalon Tears of the Earth that released last week. And I'm in Toronto, Canada. Very tired and nothing else to say.
All right. And also join us is MVG, or Modern Vintage Gamer.
What's going on, everyone? Great to be here. Yes, I am MVG. I am a YouTuber as well as a game developer. I just shipped Shantae for the Nintendo Switch and got some other things in the works as well. So it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
All right, and I'm PushDustIn. You guys know me from doing all the Smash stuff, but today we'll be taking a little bit of a break from Smash and be talking about E3 in general. So I guess the first question is, are you guys really excited for E3? Do you think that it'll be a good show this year, or do you think that COVID will kind of hamper things a little bit?
Well, I think with E3, usually there's a good year and a bad year and a good year and a bad year, it flip-flops. At least in my opinion, for the games that I look for. And the last year was kind of not that big of a year for me, so I'm really expecting this year to knock it out of the park.
I don't know if it's going to be an absolute smash hit this year. I think COVID should play a role in this, and you should maybe temper expectations a little on this one. But having said that, I think because there wasn't an E3 last year, I think a lot of companies are really itching to go this year and show some cool stuff. So I'm quietly confident it'll be a good year this year.
To sort of go off the back of that, I think temper expectations is probably a good idea. I think games that we expected to come out maybe this year probably have been quietly delayed because of Corona, or any, production issues. But regarding the actual setup of this year and E3 and all of the different streams, it's kind of hard to keep track of everything. And every Summer Games Fest and then E3 and then Wholesome Games and Ubisoft, everybody seems to be trying to outdo themselves, and everyone's we have 70 games announced, and the Guerrilla Collective on top of that as well, we have 120 games, and I kind of just feel once you have that many games, one, it's very scary as a developer how many freaking games are coming out, and that's terrifying in its own way. But also at the same time, as a consumer, how are you meant to keep track of all of that, and how is something meant to stand out? So I feel it could go either way or the other. It's kind of just overwhelmingly too much, and there's just a lot of stuff getting announced just to fill time. But we had the Elden Ring trailer the other day. I feel the Bethesda Microsoft thing is the first one they've done together, so probably something massive. And then Nintendo, fingers crossed, is what we assume will be Zelda and stuff like that, maybe.
Do you think there'll be 2022 attached to the end of most of these trailers that we see at E3 this year? Because I have a feeling a lot of the stuff we're going to see is next year.
Yeah,
and beyond.
I think AAA stuff for definite. I think 2020 was a transitional year for everyone to get used to production from remote work and stuff like that. I definitely think you're going to see games that maybe were pre-production transitioning into production last year that now are in full swing, that probably are looking more to next year. I think with indie games, there's COVID maybe hasn't had as much of an effect just because of size of teams and people generally working remotely anyway. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Elden Ring saying January of 2022. Yeah, that seemed about right.
What did you guys think about the Elden Ring trailer? I thought it was absolutely stunning.
I thought it was absolutely stunning as well. I can't wait to play it. I did talk to a few people that are George R.R. Martin fans, and they were a little disappointed that it was another Souls game, but it was always going to be another Souls game, right? But I think some people were expecting maybe it was going to be more of a, Game of Thrones type setting. I'm not really sure, but I personally was pretty hyped for it. And look, the graphics were interesting because if you look closely, you could tell that it was not kind of PS5, Xbox Series X level. It was still kind of last gen, but the way that the trailer actually was presented was top tier, and I can't wait to play the game. I'm very, very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Mal. Sorry.
No, I think it looks really good. But yeah, I know what you were saying about like the Game of Thrones fans expecting it to be more like Game of Thrones. It did look kind of like colorful and magical, where I when I first heard about it, I was expecting more of like a really really like dark and realistic kind of thing, kind of like more like Bloodborne, But that said, I do think it looks good. I haven't really played that much of the like Soulsborne kind of games, but I am interested, and I think I'll give it a spin when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like anybody who all of a sudden thinks that a Souls game, which is renowned for its very piecemeal type of like lore deliverance, it's not something that's heavy on the cutscenes or even voice acting and dialogue.
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden they would change that formula just because George R.R. Martin's involved? I don't know anybody who would have thought that would happen. But it's interesting to think that he's probably more of like the world building part. Mm-hmm. So how much, if you take the kind of storytelling of the typical Souls games and then have someone who is like renowned for world building and, really being able to paint a picture of a place, I think it's a really good match considering that Elden Ring is an open world game. The cohesion of open worlds is really important to, games. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think from, being excited anyway, because I like those types of games, but watching that trailer, I feel like that trailer was one of those trailers that was definitely worth the wait. It could have been anything, just to remind everybody that Elden Ring still existed and was coming would have been good enough. But the fact that they released this extensively long trailer that had an overwhelming amount of things to pick through, not just like showing or teasing little bits, but literally being like, here's an open world. Here's all the different things you can do. Here's a horse that double jumps and flies and does everything that you want it to do. And then all of these incredible monster designs. I felt like that trailer was really quite special. I think if we don't hit Breath of the Wild 2, kind of my E3 is kind of over already.
I was surprised that they kind of showed it off so early. I thought that would have been like a main E3 kind of
that's
reveal.
Jeff Keighley working his magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
There were
Maybe
a lot of rumors.
Kojima whispering in Miyazaki's ear a little bit.
Yeah, there were rumors that Jeff Keighley had Elden Ring. It was kind of going around for the last few weeks, so there was, I'll say, some expectation that it was going to be at the Summer Games Fest, and I was kind of tipping that it would be as well. And surely enough, we got it. I think, I mean, it's a pretty good game to get for the Summer Games Fest because I watched the entire show, and it started out well, and then it kind of got really dull in the middle. So if they didn't have that big Elden Ring trailer at the end, it would have been pretty much a disaster almost, I would have thought. But it really just redeemed itself at the end there.
Yeah, aside from Metal Slug Tactics, I actually can't remember anything that particularly stood out to me as something that I would personally play. It did feel like there was a lot of sponsor added stuff that, of course, is a necessity when you need to fund that kind of thing. So I don't begrudge him that, but there was a lot part, you're right, where it just kind of tapered off a little bit. It's like, oh, we're going downhill. Here's Elden Ring. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like Elden Ring and Metal Slug Tactics were the two games that like really stood out for me. but I kind of find that like a lot of the time when I watch like those kinds of presentations that are just like every company like showing all their stuff, or like like a big group of companies. Um, there's not usually that much stuff that like gets my attention as much as there is at like a Nintendo presentation or a Capcom or something like that. So I don't know. I still watch them anyway because I look for these gems.
Yeah.
I agree on. I agree on Metal Slug. That gave me. I mean, I'm a big Metal Slug fan anyway, so I was very hyped to see that. But it also gives you that Advance War vibe as well. Watching that trailer. So I'm all about that game.
It was interesting. I mean, Emu seem to be like the go-to guys now for like any retro IP. I feel like we're probably going to see more as we move along of those guys tackling, Japanese companies, old IPs that maybe not necessarily the Japanese companies don't want to develop themselves. SNK not really interested really in anything beyond King of Fighters. But yeah, .emu, Streets of Rage and Metal Slug, and they got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game, and
Wonder Boy.
Yeah, the Wonder Boy. Is it Wonder Boy, or what's the other one that is
like Asha in Monster World?
Yes, the Monster World games. Yeah.
Wait, are they? They're doing that one as well.
They do one of the two. I think it's Wonder Boy.
Oh yeah.
And then Monster World was a Kickstarter, I believe, and then got funding to be published. I can't remember. It's such a long time ago. And they also do the incredible like the Discus. I can't remember what that game's called now.
You're talking about Windjammers.
Windjammers.
Oh yes, Windjammers
too. They're doing Windjammers too as well. So a lot of these classic IPs, retro IPs that these guys are under control, and now they have, Metal Slug under their wing as well. It's pretty incredible to see, actually. It's kind of reminds me of Cadence of Hyrule and how a lot of older companies are trusting the indie developers or indie startups to maybe license the IP out to and let them have a go and see what happens.
Yeah. I hope that I can find myself in that situation at some point in the future.
That would be so cool. I agree.
What game would you like to tackle, actually?
That's a tough one. Like I want to do something that's super obscure from like the NES era. Maybe something like Eight Eyes. You guys remember that one? It was kind of like a Castlevania knockoff.
No. Was that any good?
Well, I mean, was it good? It was. It was really hard, like unfairly hard. But I think like there's real potential there for like lore, and if it was like a modern game, it'd be like it could be made to be cool. Player one played as like a swordsman, I guess, or like a fencer, and then you could play with second player as like his bird companion. So yeah, like it was the potential's there. It just lacked the execution, I would say.
So I'm surprised.
Really, I wouldn't really want to be tackling anything that's too famous. As much fun as that would be, like if you were like, oh, nobody's made it F-Zero in a while, I'll do that. I wouldn't want to be in charge of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
By the way, Zippo says Monster World 4 is Art Dink. I think they did the A-Train games back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm surprised that no one has mentioned the Death Stranding Definitive Edition that they showed off as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't play the first one, so I don't know. When I saw Kojima, I was really hoping that like they kind of like, I saw Kojima, then PlayStation Studios, and I was like hoping, like deep down in my guts, that it was Silent Hills or something related. But that's just never gonna happen, I think. I don't know. There's always rumors that PlayStation Studios bought Silent Hill IP from Konami and all that stuff, and one show after the other goes by, and there's never a Silent Hill announcement, and that's like one of my favorite series. At least like between 1 and 4. And and I want to see more. You know.
What makes me laugh is it's called Director's Cut, and
Yeah, he's
the director.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like Death Stranding. I'm probably one of the only people that like Death Stranding, but I thought it was a fantastic game. It's not that's not fair to say. There was a lot of people that like Death Stranding, but
Yeah.
a lot of people that I know aren't particularly fond of the game, but I enjoyed it. Look, it was a good announcement, but really, I felt like the Metal Gear Solid, cinematic that they played to advertise the game was interesting. I'll say.
What does it mean? Like, it doesn't actually mean anything, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was anything. It meant anything other than, hey, we're increasing the resolution and dropping a patch for Death Stranding on the PlayStation 5. But it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think the game doesn't look too bad, but I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't look like the kind of game that I want to play. Like it's done well. I'm sure it's like a good game, but I don't know. I'm just not too excited about it. Not having played the first version, so
That makes sense.
I did play it, but I maybe was not as fond as MVG is regarding sort of. I had quite a few criticisms of it. Have any of you happened to see Bo Burnham's most recent Netflix special?
I haven't, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, I've heard about it too. Recently, in the last few days. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So there's a bit in it where he pretends to pretends to stream a game called Inside, which is he's like looking at himself, but he's kind of not enjoying it, and he's pretending to be a Twitch streamer. So he's pretty he's swearing and stuff. But there's a line where he says, "Oh yeah, this game reminds me of Death Stranding," It's boring, but that's the fucking point. And I kind of was like, oh, that is exactly what Death Stranding is like to me.
Yeah.
I was, big critical on that game. But only Kojima, I think, can get away with being like, yes, it's a director's cut, brand new PS5 update, and then charge people for an entirely new game, probably.
Yeah, right.
When you see a lot of other developers giving away games for free, when it's like the next gen version, Final Fantasy VII in most recent days.
Oh yeah.
I think that's not. I don't think that's nice, but more power to it.
It's always good though when Kojima comes out on one of these presses though, right? I mean, you never know what's going to happen, and I was like, well, what's happening here? Is he going to show us, whatever Kojima Productions is working on next? And I mean, he quickly shut that down, but it's always a fun time when he comes out.
Yeah, at least he's recognizable.
Yeah,
it's cool to see like a familiar face in some of these shows. Whether you like their games or not.
Yeah, and it's not a Jeff Keighley special until Kojima turns up, is it really?
Yeah, that's true.
Their bromance needs to continue onwards.
So I thought that that Summer Game Fest, like last year, it felt like it was really needed because like there was no E3, but this year it felt a little bit less important. But I'm still happy that it exists because I think that we need that alternative to E3. But I think a lot of publishers, they kind of like started to shift their focus towards E3 again. I think like last year it was just too many different streams. Like it was so hard to keep track of like what was happening, when things were being announced. And I think that having that centralized show is so useful for companies and consumers as well.
Yeah, Push, you're right, because remember a couple of months ago when they announced E3, Square Enix and Bandai Namco were not on the list, and then they kind of added themselves, during that time. So I think you're right. I think there was some hesitation maybe to, do E3 this year, but I mean, you need that centralized show, right? So I think if you're not going to be at E3, then you're missing out on a big opportunity to showcase what you're working on, and I think ultimately they made the right choice. But yeah, I also agree about Summer Games Fest. You know, what's going to happen to that next year? Is that going to continue? Do you think that it's just going to all be E3 the way it was, or do you think Summer Games Fest will continue?
I would argue devil's advocate a bit and say that depending on how well the E3 stage show goes, and considering, quite honestly, E3 was on death's door almost last year.
Yeah.
I think we might see Jeff Keighley take over and Summerfest be the thing that continues and morphs into what E3 traditionally was. Because if they bottle the, because they didn't have one last year, you know, so this is like their chance to sort of get people's faith, you know, renew it, and show that E3 is still important and it is Game of Christmas, like it used to be. But if they screw that up, right, which could happen considering it's their first time of trying, hopefully they've learnt the lessons of all the others who've tried in the past year. But if they fail in that and it's not a atypical E3 that's exciting and stuff like that, I really feel like Jeff Keighley and the way he runs the Game Awards and how the Summerfest has, you know, stuff like Elden Ring and Kojima and stuff like that, it could be a case of E3 kind of falls away and people do trust Jeff a bit more. But does that mean then stage shows completely different disappear in the future and stuff like that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ESA is hoping next year will be just back to the way it was, right? We'll just have a physical show at the LA Convention Center. But yeah, I mean, that may not be how it all plays out. But, you know, I think this year, right, it's a bit of a test for them to see, you know, how well they can pull off an all digital show and how well publishers, you know, respond to it and everything.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how they can sort of make themselves stand out, you know, apart from name alone, E3, of course, but how they can make themselves stand out enough above all of these different shows. You know, we have the Guerrilla Collective, we have Summerfest, we have Day of the Devs, we have Wholesome Games, we have, you know, Nintendo Directs and everything, right? Like, we have so many games being announced in so many different avenues. One, it's really hard for consumers to even keep track of. So how does E3 try to, you know, continue to consolidate that in one place and make it an investment worthwhile compared to everything else for, you know, the viewers and stuff like that? The name still carries a lot of weight, but I don't know.
I think it's hard for traditional media outlets to follow all the different live streams and stuff like that. So I think that's like why a centralized event like E3 is still very, very useful. But I don't know. Like, I see what you're saying. Like, I think the E3 has needed to change for a while. But I think there is still a lot of value in having that one show, that one event where everyone could come together.
What's interesting because, you know, 50% of what makes E3 useful to developers, it doesn't exist in this capacity, right? It's the meeting and doing business at E3, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't do that. So you only have the consumer side of E3 that's front-facing now, which is that thing that over the past, 3 years, they tried to completely change so you could buy tickets to E3, whereas previously, of course, it was only a business trade show. So it is interesting now to see that E3 is kind of flipped completely, almost by necessity, but also the fact that the cards with Corona have just dealt this way. But there is no business. So it is purely about getting your game in the showcase just so you can get as many eyes on it from a marketing standpoint. But in regards to doing business and stuff like that, it's not needed anymore, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, it's kind of funny because, like, in 2012, I released a trailer for my first game, Castle in the Darkness, and on YouTube, I called the trailer Castle in the Darkness E3 trailer. Obviously, the game wasn't at E3. I made it myself, and I was just getting into the industry at that point. But for some reason, like, it got a lot of like eyes on it just because of that.
That
and
is
I think,
very smart.
but like, I mean, I didn't even know what I was doing, but it was kind of funny. And I think that, like, even though E3 might change and there might be other shows like the Summer Games Fest and stuff at around the same time, I think more than anything, it's the time of year that like people that are into video games wait for. And then the more shows there are, like they'll I think people are going to watch them as long as they know about them, right? So if like I don't know, whichever one of you said like Gamer Christmas, like basically that's it. And I think like even like smaller shows, maybe they can't compete with like a digital E3 or something like that, but just having them around the time is going to get more people like to notice.
Okay. Does anyone have any thoughts before we move on to the next topic? If not, we'll talk about Ubisoft, which is the next part of E3. So I guess when we're recording this, some parts of it has been unfortunately leaked online early. So does anyone have any thoughts on that? I guess the new Rabbids title.
Well, I avoided the leaks somehow. So I can't really comment on this, but I'm excited to hear what you guys say about it.
Not surprising, considering how much of a success that game was, the first game was. So it doesn't surprise me that is one of the games that is coming out from Ubisoft.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's been a game that it's been kind of rumored to be in the works for a while, and here it is, right? I think we're gonna see it later on today. Not a big surprise. I'm still salty that Ubisoft didn't give us Just Dance 2021 for the Wii. So I know they're going to announce 2022 today, I'm sure, for the Switch, but I'm still mad that they canceled the Wii version.
Yeah, so you're thinking that there'll be a Just Dance announced today?
I think so. I mean, there has to be, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be at least like 10 minutes devoted to it.
There wasn't one last year. We didn't get to see people dancing last year. I feel like we're craving it.
That's why the pandemic happened, was because there was no Just Dance to start it off.
It's when modern politics started to be changed. Was the Just Dance revolt.
Mm-hmm. So, do you guys have any other major Ubisoft predictions? Do you think that we'll finally see Beyond Good and Evil?
Watch Dogs, Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
Take your pick. Any of those.
For specific Nintendo Switch stuff, it's probably just going to be Just Dance and Rabbids, right? I mean, they could bring another. Well, I don't know if there's any more Assassin's Creed ports that they could bring over. But they may surprise us and announce one of their mainline games for the Switch. One of the older games maybe. But I mean, I think generally speaking, it's going to be the Assassin's Creeds, the Watch Dogs, the Ghost Recons maybe. There's some talk about Splinter Cell, but I don't think Splinter Cell is even a thing, to be honest with you, other than Sam Fisher, appearing in other games or or as well as maybe in a mobile game capacity. I can't really see another Splinter Cell game at this time. And of course, Prince of Persia was a game that I was thinking of, but that's off the table as well. So I'm not really sure what else there is, I guess, other than Far Cry 6,
Yeah, I think probably maybe it's going to be a big Far Cry stage show, essentially showing gameplay, probably all of the different things you can buy with pre-orders or whatever, and maybe expanding upon the previews that recently came out. They tend to announce, whatever this slate is for the end of the year. So I imagine a tease of whatever a new Assassin's Creed might be and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, they're still very much in, DLC mode with Valhalla right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the timing is right. But, they tease us for something that's coming out next year. Like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of things that really are targeting next year right now. And the issue is, you just need to wait because of, obviously, the COVID situation.
It is interesting because doesn't Ubisoft have like their own version of a direct now? Isn't it like Ubisoft Forward or something like that? It's called.
Yes, I think it's forward.
So if it, yeah, when companies start to have their own kind of thing like that, it kind of dilutes the water a bit of like the hit of, I guess, having a stage show at E3 and the announcements that can be around it. Of course, Far Cry 6 had its like gameplay announcements or released maybe 2 weeks ago. So it'll be interesting if they do just focus upon that and they don't announce some sort of next big title. I think maybe people will be a little bit disappointed if so. I don't know if Rabbids, even though as successful as the first one was, is that kind of like quote big title to carry the show. So I don't know. I don't. Watch Dogs has just come out, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, as MVG has said, is kind of in full swing. So it'll be interesting to think what else can they do aside from Far Cry.
Do you think this leak, whatever you want to call it, of Rabbids right now is just making it even more hyped for the show? That more people are going to watch it now to see if they do announce the trailer, which they most certainly would.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the leak because it's like I feel like people will think that there's going to be more, and then it's quite possible that the leak is all we're going to get or is going to be the showstopper. And so I would say like, yeah, we should probably temper expectations a little bit. And I
think the other thing that was interesting was I don't know if you guys caught it before the page went offline, but it said 2022. So again, another game that's not coming this year, which is interesting.
How much do you guys personally care about games from Ubisoft, aside from Rabbids, maybe?
I don't think I've ever played one.
Great start.
Yeah, I mean, well, like, no, I played Scott Pilgrim. I thought that was great. What else? Maybe I tried like a Rayman demo at some point. I don't know. Like I think the games are kind of cool. But like as far as Assassin's Creed goes, like I just never got into it.
I'm actually a big Assassin's Creed fan. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, I will say. Kind of like Call of Duty, the single player campaign, not the multiplayer. I never bother with the multi, but I like a good Assassin's Creed game. I know I'm going to go into it knowing exactly what it's going to be. I have no reservations, no doubts about what this game is, and I usually have fun playing it.
You know what? Like when the first Assassin's Creed came out, I might have played either a demo or like my brother got it or something, and I just like messed around with it for a little bit. I totally had no idea that it was like a sci-fi story, where like the guy's consciousness is sent like back in time. Like so, when I saw like the spaceship setting, it just took me out of it, and I was like, not my cup of tea. And then I just never came back to it. But I think I should give it another shot. Like obviously people like it, so I might like something about it. Also, like the Rabbids game. I never played that, but like, was it kind of like a tactics game with like Mario and Donkey Kong and stuff?
It's like a XCOM.
Yeah,
XCOM. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that looked interesting to me. I don't know why I never got around to that, but it's on my long list of games that I want to give a shot to, and just don't have time,
Yeah, it was good fun. Surprisingly, a very good time.
Cool. Yeah.
And also probably one of the more recent in memory, like E3 moments that sticks out a lot is Miyamoto and Davide Soliani kind of that moment where Davide's kind of tearing up in the crowd, and that was the good times, the pre-good times.
Yeah,
I remember that being quite a sweet moment.
The other moment, I guess, is the Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I guess that was like the last great E3 moment.
Yeah.
That didn't foreshadow anything bad at all, did it?
No, nothing.
Well, I guess we can move on to the next conference, and we're gonna tackle them in order. Try to do all the major ones, and this one didn't really start off major, but as it's becoming more and more part of the E3 tradition. It's actually Devolver Digital. So this whole presentation has a crazy lore, ongoing story, has like I think they're calling it a Devolver Digital verse or something like that. And like last year they had like that demo where you could actually like virtually tour the booths and stuff like that.
That was amazing. That was quite fantastic.
Yeah. So what do you guys are you guys hyped for the new presentation for them?
It's a great example of a presentation where the games that get announced I'm not that bothered about, but the actual presentation I'm going to watch for the fun of watching the presentation.
Yeah. I think the coolest thing about Devolver is that they're publishing all sorts of like wacky indie games that come out of nowhere, kind of like the stuff that I'm working on and my peers are working on. So it's always surprising, which is cool. Like you're not going to watch the Devolver Digital stream and see another Assassin's Creed game. The yearly entry of the series that everyone's expecting. You're going to see some like really crazy stuff. So I don't know. Personally, I'm excited to watch that, and I think there's going to be some like real surprises, like stuff that I never even expected or heard of, that I'm going to like see and like.
Yeah, it is quite. What you just said is quite exciting about it. Sort of the games that we make and our peers and people we actually know and colleagues and stuff like that. It is kind of like our connection to the E3, stratosphere of the fact that E3 is viewed by millions of people worldwide, and that is like almost the closest surrogate level to the kind of things that we do. And Devolver, publish games of the size and sort of scope of the games that we make. So it's always quite exciting to see them on the big stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, are they like? They don't really have any series or anything, as far as I know. Like, there's nothing like that people are looking forward to from Devolver, specifically like a new entry of something.
Hotline
No, I
Miami,
don't think
maybe?
everything's pretty new, right?
Yeah, or like there's DLC and stuff, but yeah, everything's new. So that's kind of what I like about it. It's fresh.
I think maybe Shadow Warrior 3 would be one that I would consider a game that's in the series. If you played Shadow Warrior 1 and 2, you there's some excitement around that. I personally like the Shadow Warrior game, so I want to check out what they've got for Shadow Warrior 3. But generally speaking, you're right. I mean, it's they're not necessarily known for a particular series.
They their games from last year that have come out this year have been great so far. Aaliyah, one of our Kyoto natives over here, Tomar and Skeleton Crew, great game. And then one of my favorite games of this year, Loop Hero. I absolutely adored Loop Hero, so I'm kind of always excited to see what they publish. They're almost like a talent scout for like really talented developers, and they help them blossom a bit. So it's almost like having your own personal editor find interesting things for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I guess the next presentation is Gearbox. And so we'll probably, I guess Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is probably going to be, well, I guess they already did announce that, right?
They did, but I mean, I'm sure they'll probably show it again. Maybe a different trailer, or maybe tell us something more about that game. But yeah, I probably would expect them to show us more of that game.
Do you think we'll get more Borderlands content besides that?
Maybe. I'm not really big on what's happening with Borderlands 3 right now. I know that they keep releasing DLCs for them. Someone in the chat's probably going to know more about Borderlands than me, but I would expect something from Borderlands. I just don't know what that would be. I mean, it's their their staple product, right? So I think we'll see something from it.
I have like zero interest, so I have no idea. The type of humor in Borderlands is extremely off-putting to me, so I've kind of always veered away from that series.
Oh, I'm looking at their site now, and actually, it seems like they have a Penn and Teller VR game, which That's really weird, but I'm kind of interested.
Do you have to fool Penn and Teller in the VR world and prove to them you can do magic tricks?
It looks weird. It looks like an escape room almost, with like puzzles and stuff, and you do magic tricks.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it's new though. This came out in 2019. Now that I look at it, but like I never even heard about this. I'm much more excited about this than I am about like Borderlands or Duke Nukem or anything. But I'm still not that excited about it. It's like more than the stuff that you hear about every day, but not that much.
I think that's quite telling.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can move on to probably the next the major show, and that's Microsoft and Bethesda. And it's the first year that they'll be co-hosting a show together. And this is actually a show that I'm pretty excited for because I think that Microsoft, they've been really working on doing the trying to promote the Game Pass as like a service for that everyone should subscribe to and make it the Netflix of gaming. And I'm really interested to see Halo Infinite and what other reveals they'll have. I'm thinking maybe we could see was it Fable in that presentation. What do you guys think?
So I thought it was specifically a Bethesda and Xbox partnership conference, or is it actually like two separate things at the same time? So it's like Xbox will do a presentation about Xbox things, and then Bethesda will do a presentation about Bethesda. I thought it was actually just
it's combined.
A presentation.
Yeah.
So it will have stuff about like Game Pass that is unrelated to Bethesda and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's 90 minutes, and I'm expecting, so there'll be Bethesda-related stuff and there'll be Xbox-related stuff in that 90 minutes.
Okay. I was a bit confused. I thought maybe it was just about Bethesda games, but now their partnership with Xbox. I'm glad to hear that. I think Game Pass is fantastic, so I'm excited about that.
I think this is going to be a pretty big show as well. Push, you mentioned you're pretty excited for it. I would agree. I think Halo Infinite is definitely something we'll see more of after last year's trailer that did not, or gameplay presentation that did not go very well for them. They will probably have a much improved gameplay trailer for us this time around. We'll get to see what Starfield is, finally. We've heard so much about this game for such a long time. No one knows what Starfield is. We think it's Fallout in space, but no one really has any idea. So we'll definitely get a lot of that. I think Microsoft will also double down on its exclusivities with Bethesda-related games as well, because there's still some questions. Are these games exclusive to Xbox, or are they coming out on the PS5 as well, or PS4? I think this show is going to be absolutely stacked. You mentioned Fable. Actually, I don't think Fable is going to be a part of this show. I think we saw that 30-second kind of, I don't even want to call it, just a tease, really. It wasn't a trailer. Last year. I think Fable's knee-deep in development right now and probably not going to be shown until like next year maybe, or possibly at the Game Awards at the end of this year. But I think there's a lot to show us. There's a new Forza game that's coming. Forza Horizon 5, I believe, is the title that's been rumored to be coming out as well. So we'll see that. So yeah, there's definitely a lot here. There's probably more Bethesda games that we're not really familiar with as well, and some surprises, I'm sure. So I think out of all the presses, this is the one that I'm kind of most interested in seeing what they show us.
It's also the rumors. I think there's also rumors yesterday that Microsoft might be in the process of acquiring additional studios like NetherRealm and Rocksteady. Is that correct?
Yeah, I heard that too. I mean, they always love announcing a new company that they've acquired on a presser like this. So it's definitely something they've done before. So don't be surprised, if they announce a new acquisition.
I'm sorry, Liam. I cut you off before.
Yeah, no, just I feel like the Bethesda ones, for as much I enjoy Bethesda's games, but not exceptionally so. But I've always enjoyed their press conferences. They always came with their slight cockiness. That was kind of funny. Really like they were trying to be one of the big boys for a long time, and then of course now they've partnered with essentially one of the biggest boys. So I feel like I hope that they come with that sort of the Todd swagger of as usual, maybe even more so now that they have Microsoft money behind them. I do want to see what Starfield is. I'm just hoping that we actually see it, and it's not that thing where we see loads of games and then they just tease that the game is going to be announced at some point in the future. And I do hope it's actually announced and shown, and we get a good grasp of what it's about. I had a lot of respect for the time they did Fallout 4, and it was like in June they announced the game, and then the game came out in October. I really thought that was a pretty incredible thing they did back then. I'm interested to see. I own an Xbox Series X now. I think Game Pass is fantastic. So whenever Microsoft have a showcase or do something, I'm always interested now, out of just having that thing in my living room.
Yeah, I don't have an Xbox Series anything, but like just because of like Game Pass and that kind of hype, I'm pretty interested as well to see what they have cooking. Yeah, I don't know. Like throughout like the last few generations, I've just mainly had like the Nintendo consoles and the Sony consoles, but
yeah,
I must say I'm a little bit like leaning towards the possibility of getting an Xbox, which has never been the case before. So yeah, I think that's cool. I think it'll be interesting to see what they have at their show.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. And then, I don't know, with the Series X, I just decided that Game Pass seemed like a really easy entryway into the next generation, and also tiding yourself over until, actual next-gen games have started coming. I think we've seen that now with, Ratchet and Clank Rift in Time being like the next true next-gen game. So it seems like that's starting to roll, but in the meantime, in almost the... getting on for a good over half a year now, the consoles have been out. I've never regretted having a Series X at all, just because of Game Pass.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
It has been a good time.
Yeah. One thing I feel like I should also point out is like with Microsoft buying all these studios, like it's like they're big announcements, but then like in like 2 or 3 years we'll start to see that strategy pay off for Microsoft. And I think they have like 2 E3s ago they announced like they acquired a bunch of studios, right?
Yep.
Do you
like
remember
Ninja Theory? It was like maybe 3 or 4, but Ninja Theory was the one that really stood out for me.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that we could see one of those acquisition one of those payoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think they own 28 studios right now. So, which is a lot, right? So, I mean, I think, yeah, we'll definitely start to see the fruits of those labors, I guess. Ninja Theory is doing Hellblade 2, another game that may show its face at this presentation. It probably won't, only because I believe they recently mentioned that they were moving their engine to Unreal Engine 5, which, if for anyone that's familiar with doing an engine swap in a video game, it's not a trivial thing, right? So I think their heads down probably working on that right now. So I'm not sure if they have anything for us. But to your point, yeah, I mean, I think we'll definitely start to see, the fruits of the acquisitions here. In fact, yesterday or the day before, I think it was Aaron Greenberg was quoted as saying that they're targeting, and this is gonna, make the hairs on the back of your head stand up a little bit as developers, but they're targeting one game every quarter that they want to release. This is Microsoft kind of in general, with their first parties. That's a big commitment. Well, that's a big statement to say right now, in 2021, right? So I think they really have to, take advantage of these acquisitions, and they have enough out there where they could potentially, make that happen. But man, I wouldn't want to be one of those studios, under that one game every quarter thing that he mentioned, because that's a lot of pressure to be put under,
Yeah.
It's interesting because of stuff like that. They've kind of covered themselves, though. You think of Halo Infinite being delayed. That didn't seem like as big a deal as it might have done in the past, right? Oh my god, we launched a console without a Halo game, and nobody really seemed to care too much. I think because of everything else Microsoft seems to be have going on for themselves. So it does seem to be that they're making smart decisions, but I do wonder what it's like to work in one of those studios. 28 of them now. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff.
Someone said 23 in the chat. I apologize. Yeah, it's 23.
23, 28.
It's in the could 20s. Be 28 after Sunday night, right? We'll find out. But hey, you mentioned Halo, and I want to ask you guys. Does Halo still feel that important to Microsoft? It's important. Don't get me wrong, but it was probably number one in terms of importance for many years. Nowadays, it doesn't feel as important to Microsoft as it used to. Would you guys agree with that? Because for me, yes, Halo is a big game for them, but now that they have Bethesda, they have Doom, they have Wolfenstein, they have Oblivion, they have Skyrim. They have access to all these amazing IPs. Is Halo still really that relevant? In 2021.
I would almost argue that exclusives are not. This is going to sound really strange in the beginning because we just literally talked about them owning 23 studios, but I'd argue that exclusives is not something they care about anymore. What they care about is goodwill and being consumer friendly. PlayStation and Sony, Nintendo just get a free pass because they're Nintendo most of the time, but PlayStation don't typically have a very good consumer-friendly image, right? And especially now with the fact that you can't buy a PS5 for love nor money anywhere in the world, they don't exactly have the best grace with the gaming populace. Whereas you flip to Microsoft and you think of Game Pass and free games and the fact that you can play your account on PC and also on the Xbox, and then the Xbox S is a cheaper version of that. And it's almost like what they are trying to do is a different strategy where they realize paying massive amounts of money for big AAA titles is not a sustainable environment and doesn't recoup as much money as they think it does. And also, why would you try to fight with Sony when Sony are going to have God of War and The Last of Us and Uncharted and stuff like that? You need to have a different approach. So I think you're incredibly on the button there that Halo is not as important. It's almost just like the cherry on top.
Yeah.
And they're just going for this different strategy. Like, even with Bethesda, I don't think anybody would say a new Fallout game or Starfield is anywhere near as big as God of War or The Last of Us. But it's that nice cherry on the top alongside Halo where, I bought an Xbox for Game Pass, but I also happen to get Skyrim 2 on day one or something like that. So I think the exclusive game is maybe not their strategy anymore.
Yeah, I think it's like what we've been talking about. I think it's all about Game Pass and trying to make sure that they have their service in front of as many consumers as possible, and to make sure that they keep coming back. And so it's not one IP that's important for them anymore, because IPs they come and go. They have their strong points and weak points, but if they can keep the service valuable, that will earn them incredible goodwill and, frankly, profit in the long run.
I think that's the aim, right? It's like, if you do manage to deliver on having at least one big title every quarter, and then it releases on Game Pass simultaneously as well, people are always going to be wanting to be a part of your ecosystem, and that's the long term, right? These subscriptions, I imagine, I can't remember what the most recent number it was. It was something like 20-something million subscribers of Xbox Game Pass. You think
Wow.
that's like World of Warcraft money? Like that's a lot of money every month that they're getting, and that's not even selling games. Of course, it comes at the cost of paying developers up front for all of the exclusivity of, or having them be a part of the Game Pass. But I imagine the equations they've been doing balance out in Microsoft's favor quite nicely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that. It's that Netflix subscription, right? Like that. It's the one that you get that you say you're going to cancel every single month, and you just never think about
You
doing
never,
it.
you never
know,
cancel it.
And that's how they make their money, though. They want to keep you on as long as they can, and they just keep offering new titles to play for free every single month. And I think it's a very smart business model. It works for Netflix, and it's going to work for Microsoft, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. And don't forget that as soon as you cancel, something comes around that you actually want to play, and then
come back for $1 for 3 months. I mean, I've seen it happen. Like I can't when Game Pass first started, I had it as on a trial, and I canceled it because it wasn't that interesting. This was way before they started, the big games and everything, and they sent me an email, maybe a month later saying it's $1 for 3 months. I was like, okay, well I'll jump back on, and I haven't left since. That's how it is.
It's such a weird thing to say, but I have played more games. I rarely play games. I'm a game developer. That's not what we do. We don't have time.
That's true.
But I've played more games in the past like 6 months because of having a Series X, because of two reasons. One, Game Pass, where I'm playing games I would never play because they're not games I would purchase. But I'm intrigued to try them. I downloaded MechWarrior 5, which is a brand new game, a game I would never play, a series I've never played before, and I had a good couple of hours with it and was having fun. And that's because it's on Game Pass. But the added additional power of the quick resume feature on Game Pass, on the Xbox Series X, is incredible, because then you can try lots of different games without the added resistance of being like, okay, well, I have to stop playing this one and play something else, where you can queue up 4 or 5 different games, have them all running in various states, and you can be trying and going back and forth, and it the feel of having to procrastinate starting a game is not there anymore because it's always running. So between those two features on the Xbox Series X, I've played a lot more games in the past year than I have for a long time.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, I don't really know that much about Game Pass because I don't have an Xbox, but I did. I was a subscriber of PS Now for a couple of years, and I thought that was fun, but it was kind of slow, like especially like later down the line, some games required that you download the game. I think. Maybe I could be wrong. I didn't spend that much time playing, but it did seem kind of sluggish. So like what you're saying about this like auto resume feature, like, man, I really want to get an Xbox now.
Yeah, so with Game Pass, you download the games, but also so they're rolling it out now. But if you have a Game Pass subscription, you will also have access to their xCloud stuff.
Okay.
And then you will be able to basically do what you could on PS Now, which is stream the game as well. But the quick resume feature is the idea that if you have, if you play a game, you can literally just go back to the menu and it will save state, and you can play other apps at the same time.
Oh, that's
and then
amazing.
When you jump back into it, it is pretty incredible. It means all those really long JRPGs that I put off for so long just sit there in the background, and then I jump back into for 10 minutes, but at least I make 10 minutes of progress on it.
Exactly,
So yeah, it's been great.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can also play Game Pass on the PC if you don't have an Xbox, by the way.
My computer sucks.
Oh.
I think it's about 10 years old now. Like it's perfectly fine for like pixel art and chiptunes and whatever I'm doing, but like like streaming like AAA games, I don't think it'll cut it. Or even playing any AAA games or any 3D games for that matter. Yeah, I need to upgrade.
Well, I think it's about time that we move on to our next presentation, and that's the Square Enix presentation. I think there's been some rumors about like Final Fantasy like multiple Final Fantasies being shown here. Do you guys have any expectations?
I'm happy just to hear more information about Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
For sure. That game, like, after a very long period of time that like Final Fantasy games were kind of like I'd be like half interested in them. Like, obviously Final Fantasy 7 remake, that was cool. 15 was cool, but like 13 and the online ones, like I never really got into those. But this one looks like really up my alley, so I thought the trailer was good. But I want to see more about the gameplay, especially that they have the Devil May Cry combat director on board and stuff. Like, I think
they
it's
do,
gonna be,
yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely investing heavily into whatever the battle system is for that game.
Oh yeah, and like for me, like I don't know, when they first started going towards like the action battle, I was a little bit disappointed. But these days, maybe I got impatient while I'm playing video games or something. But like, I'd rather have an action combat system than turn-based at this point. Especially with like a game like that that looks like super good and like next gen. Like I want it to be like fast and furious, you know?
Yeah. Personally, for me, Final Fantasy VII Remake's battle system was like my most favorite like JRPG battle system so far.
Yeah,
like a
same.
combination hybrid of the old and the new. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. You know what though? I would have appreciated a jump.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which seems to be in 16. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I used to get really excited about Square Enix. Of course, it can mean a lot of things in your head. Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest or whatever, of their traditional more Japanese side. But in recent years, they have games that they publish in the West. Marvel's Avengers and stuff like that. And a lot of the more recent E3 from Square Enix or trade shows have always been more focused heavily on the Western side of like the publishing department for Square Enix. So I'm always a bit tentative about expectations for Square Enix and going in and being like, oh yeah, we're going to just see Final Fantasy and all these kind of things, when actually they spend like 50 minutes showing you what the Hulk can do in Avengers or something like that.
Yeah, Tomb Raider, that kind of stuff. But they always show something that's worth it, in my opinion. Like, even if there's like a whole bunch of games that like I'm not going to really play, there's always like the bomb in the show. And another thing that they do a lot that I think is cool is like a lot of those like remasters and like remakes of like Seiken Densetsu 3. Like seeing that kind of stuff is always kind of cool, and surprising, because like you don't even hear about it, and then they announce it. It's like, it's
and they're like, oh yeah, we're doing this as well.
yeah. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm really hoping personally for like a proper follow-up to Final Fantasy Tactics. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but there's hope.
Oh,
isn't that Project Triangle strategy, kinda?
Kind of, but like it's in my opinion, it's missing kind of like the feel of Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah.
So same thing with like Tactics Advance and Advance 2. Like the whole I get it was the same composer, so that was all right, but the whole art style changed. It became more like lighthearted and stuff, and I don't know. I like the serious story of Final Fantasy Tactics. So I don't. Did you guys ever see like those like prototype screenshots of what Final Fantasy Tactics 2 was gonna be for PS1?
Yes, I did.
I have not actually.
Yeah, it's I can't really remember that much, but there was like 2 screenshots leaked, and it looked like completely different. Like not like you didn't really see any grid-based stuff, just like big character portraits and like numbers. But it looked really interesting, and I'd rather have something like that than Triangle Strategy. Although Triangle Strategy does look cool, it's just not like the prime Tactics experience that I want. I want like the Tactics Ogre team to get back together and make Final Fantasy Tactics 2,
Yeah.
But won't happen. I probably jinxed it by saying it. Every year, like when I'm watching all the E3 stuff, I have like these like dream games that I wish happened, and they never happen. And the Silent Hill series is another one. I always think like, yeah, this is going to be the year. Finally, like we're going to see something new, and then year by year goes by, and there's never anything new. So that's just kind of sucks. But I think like with the amount of stuff that like Square Enix is like bringing back, I think that there is a little bit of a possibility that they might do some Final Fantasy Tactics related thing. I just hope it's done well.
Yeah, it's
on
certainly
that kind
possible.
Sorry, BG. No, absolutely. Go ahead. No,
I was going to say. I mean, it's possible that we can get something. Trying to predict Square is probably the hardest out of all of them. I mean, sure, there's probably going to be some Avengers content. There's Guardians of the Galaxy that's been rumored as well. But what are we going to see on the Switch, right? I mean, there's like Life is Strange, I believe is coming. So maybe that, but there's also talk about these kind of 2D remakes.
Thank you. That is exactly what I wanted to get to.
The Final Fantasy 2D remakes, right? So what do you guys think we're going to see there? Because there has to be something. I mean, they have to go something there.
Don't tease me, but please, just if we can have the HD 2D, either a Final Fantasy VI or a Chrono Trigger remake, that's it. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like just those, either of those, and I'm set. Don't care about anything else.
Yeah, I'd be super happy to see that as well, especially Final Fantasy VI. That would be like a total like perfect match.
Did you guys see the Dragon Quest III? The most
remake?
recently, the remake of Dragon Quest III using the HD 2D style that Square Enix have been developing.
No, but I'm going to look at it now.
It looks absolutely gorgeous, and that is what gives me hope that they're using this kind of as a testing ground to be like, hey, what if we actually just remake all of our old Final Fantasies in this fresh, brand new style, similar to Octopath Traveler. But they do. Obviously, they're starting with Dragon Quest III from the Direct Quest team. But if they do Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger, oh my god.
Yeah. This looks amazing. This really looks cool. Man. Yeah, Final Fantasy VI would just fit so perfectly. I think they are going to do it eventually. But yeah, why start with Dragon Quest III? I think that's it's a strange choice.
3 because they said it in the Dragon Quest presentation that they wanted to start from 3 just because that was like a fan favorite, and because they usually start with
the most popular in Japan for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
But also they usually do remakes starting from 1 and then going through the series in order, but they want to like mix things up and start from 3 this time around.
Well, with Final Fantasy, I hope they just jump to 6.
Yeah.
Technically, they jumped to 7 because that's a remake. So they just went through from 1 to 7, and they were like, "Okay, we'll do this one first."
Yeah. What did you guys hear about like that? There was a Polish studio that is apparently like being hired by Square Enix to remake one of their popular IPs, or to like and for it to be several games. Have you guys heard about that?
I have not heard that.
I have not, but I'm intrigued about this now. All of a sudden.
Okay, here let me. I don't want to like make up false information here, but yeah, I read something about that. Okay, the Square Enix. Man, my internet sucks. Loading a webpage here. Okay, yeah, Square Enix has partnered with the Polish studio Forever Entertainment to remake some of its catalog titles. So, apparently, it's multiple game remakes based on a single franchise.
I wonder what that could be.
Well, it says here.
Forever's already done a couple of things, right? So they did Panzer Dragoon on the Switch. They're doing the House of the Dead remake as well.
Oh, wow. They're like specialists in this kind of thing then.
Yeah,
sure,
they're obviously one of those studios that are good at that stuff,
Yeah. Now, would Square Enix trust them with like the mainline Final Fantasy games?
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it could be something different. It could be like the Saga games or some like one of the smaller IPs. But you never know, right? If they can handle like these kind of like HD 2D kind of remakes of the older Final Fantasy games, it's possible. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Liam, you mentioned Chrono Trigger before. I mean, would you want an HD 2D remake, or would you just be happy with the original game?
It was funny, as we were sort of talking, I was thinking about how easy it is to make turn-based games in that style using, I think it's not a purpose-built engine, it's Unreal, but their style.
Yeah.
But then I think of the Chrono Trigger, sort of the triangular gameplay where you're doing cross slashes and cross ups and stuff like that. And that actually kind of doesn't work because the 2D HD is not top down. So I'm wondering whether or not that would actually be something that would work. I'd like to see it because I think that art style is really pretty. I'd probably think 6 would suit it more. I miss those days.
Yeah, man. But anyway, with all that stuff said, I do think that they're gonna have like some like smaller surprise announcements, like about like HD 2D stuff and like remakes of old games, and that stuff really excites me. So I think it's gonna be cool.
So, MVG, what do you think about Square? Are you expecting anything in particular?
I think it's going to be a pretty good showing from Square. They usually, give us something, and there's definitely some surprises I'm sure that they have up their sleeves. Anything in particular, it's really hard to say. I mean, we're kind of throwing darts at a dartboard right now, trying to figure out what we think they're going to show us. But I would expect something 2D related from Final Fantasy. Specifically for the Switch, I just don't know which one it's going to be. Hopefully it's 6, because that's the one that I think many of us want to see. Will there be any Chrono Trigger stuff? I think we're just fanboying at this point, honestly. As much as I want to believe that's true, that we'll see something from Chrono Trigger.
You wound me, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm just. Look, if they drop it on the Nintendo Switch Online, I'd be happy with that. Let's be honest, right?
Oh yeah,
I would take that. So yeah, I don't know about Square. I mean, it's probably the hardest one to really predict right now, but I'm sure they'll show us some good stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking like we mentioned, we'll probably get some more Avenger stuff. Because I think we haven't heard a lot about the Wakanda Black Panther expansion pack, so I think that will pretty much be guaranteed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we'll get more information about the Dragon Quest 12, because they only did the name reveal in that very short teaser.
Just like a screen, wasn't it?
Yeah, they didn't announce what console it would come out for even.
They said they were making it an Unreal 5, right? So I imagine they're going to try next gen as hard as possible.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Balan Wonderworld 2?
No, I don't think so. I think
just as Yuji is walking out of the door, they're like, "Okay, fire up the team again."
Oh man. That'd be something.
Yeah. Well, we can move on to our next presentation, and we'll be talking about Capcom next. So Capcom.
Hey, you skipped a few.
Yes, I skipped a bunch. Well, if you guys want to really talk about like indie showcase or freedom games or limited run games, we can also do those as well. But we can jump back to those if you have something.
I was joking, but
okay.
As someone that does work with limited run as a dev, I have no idea what they're going to show us. Honestly, I have zero idea about what's coming. So I'm kind of looking forward to it because they usually have some big surprises for us. So I can't wait.
Yeah, same. For me, it's the same as like the Devolver stream. It's going to be like cool stuff that I'm not expecting at all, and stuff that I don't know anything about. But kind of more like focused on like the indie and 2D kind of stuff. So I'm excited. And by the way, I like everything you guys are doing at Limited Run Games. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, they're great to work. They're great to work with. Great bunch of people and great company. I mean, they love video games. You know.
Yeah.
Is this the first year that LRG has that E3 presence?
This is actually their third year, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think of like what their announcements were. Are they just like new physical releases, like new?
Yeah. So last year, they had. I think they did like Castlevania. They showed off Shantae for the Switch, which was the game that I was involved with. So they had some fairly big announcements. The year before that, it's hard for me to remember, but they usually have like one or two kind of hype announcements. Some old franchise they're bringing back and making physical usually, so I would expect to see more of that.
Yeah. Do you have any guesses? You don't have to guess MVG, but maybe Liam or Matcap, what they could bring back.
It's pretty much a toss-up, right? I feel like the whole retro world is open up to those guys now. So
pretty much, yeah. It could be anything, but like, yeah, I don't know. I have no guesses at all. I just know that it'll be surprising to see anything at all. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
It's so hard to predict what they've got, like, because the Scott Pilgrim thing they did, right, like earlier this year, that just came out of left field. You know, all of a sudden it's physical. You know, so yeah, they'll have something really cool, at least one thing. So I would definitely keep an eye on the show. I just don't know what they're going to show us.
Yeah,
that reminds me, I ordered the Scott Pilgrim's vinyl record, and I have not received it. I can't wait to have that. I love that soundtrack.
Yeah, I think there's some, like, the vinyl companies are having problems these days.
Yeah, there's a worldwide shortage, I think, of vinyls.
Yeah.
Well, let's
hopefully
go.
See a CD resurgence.
Yeah. All right, so we have Capcom. We're probably going to see more of the Great Ace Attorney, because they have revealed that. And I guess they had a Monster Hunters Stories 2 trailer in the Summer Games Festival, right? Like, it was just
They did, yeah.
It was just like kind of a random drop.
It's coming
there.
out fairly soon, so I think everything is kind of just leading up to a trailer.
So do you think that we'll get like a Resident Evil Village DLC? I guess is the major question.
Interesting.
It's kind of like, it seems kind of quick to announce a DLC so close after the game's release, but like, I guess Resident Evil is such a moneymaker that it would make sense for them to do something like that, like to show something and then have it come out later this year. But I don't know.
I did finish Resident Evil 8, so I could be down with some new DLC.
Yeah, I enjoyed Village as well. I thought it was fantastic. I would love to see it. As far as Resident Evil stuff, I think, you know, there was that Capcom leak that kind of happened earlier this year, right? And a lot of that stuff has been accurate, you know, even the dates around it. And I think the next thing that's kind of on the list now is Resident Evil Outrage for the Switch, which is the kind of exclusive Switch version. I guess it's more along the lines of in the Revelations series. It's that style of game. But we've already seen the RE engine running on the Switch. It runs well. You know, we've seen Monster Hunter, we've seen Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, both running on the RE engine.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think if you're looking for hype, Capcom announcing a Resident Evil exclusive game for the Switch is really going to be a big announcement for them, and hopefully we'll see it.
Yeah. I really like what they've been doing lately with the Resident Evil series. Everything like Resident Evil 7, that was like I thought that was great. I didn't play through the whole game, but like when they announced it, like the trailer was so impactful, and then Village as well, and like even like the Netflix show and stuff that they're like announcing lately, like it's all really cool stuff. So I would like to see something on Switch. I wonder how close they can get like the graphics. I mean, there's ways of like obviously it's not going to look as good as Village.
No,
but,
Village is pretty outstanding.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So but
Revelations went heavily like a Resident Evil 4 kind of look, so I think that could work.
Yeah, but even that works, right? If it's a new game that looks like that, like I'm on board.
I mean, Revelations was on 3DS originally, and it looked fantastic for being a 3DS game.
Right, yeah. But speaking of the Capcom leaks, wasn't there also a leak or like a rumor that they're bringing back Power Stone?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. That is something that I really hope to see this weekend.
That would be. I mean, I don't know. You know, the old school folks like us. You know, we're gonna love it. But I mean, how many people know what Power Stone is, though? You know, hopefully they can really sell that. You know, to a newer audience, I guess. You know,
for sure. But also, if maybe like I think something like Power Stone is something that they don't have to put a lot of money into.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it came out and had like a modest success, like it would still probably make them a lot of money. Not like a Resident Evil, but I mean, like it would. I don't think a game like that would be a failure. People would like how easy it is to get into. It's, I don't know, for all intents and purposes, kind of like Capcom's like Smash Brothers. If they did like a few like crossovers with their own IPs, I think people would like really jump in.
No, I think that's a valid point. It's great timing as well to bring that, and if they have good, you know, online and good netcode, where it plays well, yeah, man, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Now, what else? I mean, I did you guys play Mega Man 11?
Yep. Yeah, I thought it was good.
I didn't.
Yeah, I missed it too. Like I didn't skip it. I do think it looks cool, but it's also on that like enormous list of games that I'm looking forward to playing at some point. But any Mega Man announcements are usually like pretty cool. I just don't know if they're going to show anything this weekend.
I think there was a couple of Mega Man, like there's Brian on Twitter. He goes by, I think, Proto Man. I think he's hinted that there's going to be some Mega Man announcements this year, but I don't know if it was E3 reveals or not.
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah. The King of Trash in the chat says Ace Attorney 7 was part of the Capcom leak, and I don't know if they would. The only thing is, I don't know if they would announce that with the Great Ace Attorney haven't been released yet. Like, I think they would do that after the Great Ace Attorney trilogy.
So? Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd do the trilogy first, and then the Ace Attorney 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. And then they also announced Resident Evil 4 VR for the Oculus too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually I am actually excited about that. I'm not super big into VR, but Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games. So personally, the idea of playing that in the first person in VR is incredibly novel and exciting to me. Especially considering it's been, it's not just a port, but it actually has been modified to be purposely built in VR and have puzzles and sections that are, you know, first person based. So fingers crossed.
Yeah,
also Dragon's Dogma 2. Let's have Dragon's Dogma 2 as well. Why not?
Yeah, Zippo confirmed that it was a Battle Network news for Mega Man.
Okay.
That's supposed to be coming next year for the 35th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we're gonna skip Nintendo for now, and we're gonna go straight into Bandai Namco. So I have no idea what to expect,
Elden
really.
Ring.
Yeah.
Namco hard one to. I mean, do we see Elden Ring again? I mean, I don't know.
More Elden Ring.
I mean, I'd love it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, maybe that they'll show us a different take on the game, you know. But yeah, this is a hard one. Maybe some more Tekken related content. We'll see. Again, very difficult to predict, you know, what we're going to see from Bandai Namco.
Mm-hmm. Like Scarlet Nexus is like almost out. Is that right?
Yeah, it has a demo now, right?
It has a demo.
Yeah.
And it's coming out. It's not far away. Nerbian in the chat's talking about Klonoa. Dude, I would love Klonoa.
Yeah.
I would love Klonoa. That would be hype. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a Klonoa game, but we need one.
Mm-hmm. What about a new Katamari? Because they did the re-release, the remaster for the Switch of the original.
I'd be into that too. That would be great.
They could bring Forever.
They made the remaster, but yeah, Keita Takahashi they haven't really made a new one since he left the company. So I don't know. They'd be making it either without him or his involvement would be on a different capacity. So I'm not sure that the kind of hoops you have to jump through to kind of make that game is worth making a game like that these days. I'm not really sure how much the Katamari Damacy game would sell. Which is a shame, but
yeah,
it would be nice.
Yeah, I think that's another kind of game that like they wouldn't lose a lot of money. So like it could be in development and it wouldn't make a difference like to them. Like I don't think they'd have to like do the whole reasoning process. Like, should we do this or should we not? It's like it's going to be a surprise one day. You know, like we're going to watch one of these presentations and then like boom, like Katamari, 4 or wherever they left off. I don't know. I didn't play those games, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I could see that being announced like as a surprise.
Well, does anyone have anything else they want to add about Bandai Namco? If not,
or
we
Elden
will.
Ring.
Yeah.
Elden Ring.
Give us the real release date, because that January release date was not real. That was a placeholder, right? I mean, there's no way that game's coming out in January.
To be honest, for as much as I want that game, if that game gets pushed from January, I'll be very grateful from a personal standpoint.
Definitely, definitely.
For my own game-related reasons.
Well, we can start talking about Nintendo. So Nintendo's having a E3 presentation that will focus on software for 2021, and I think this one will actually be a decent show. I think it will be a pretty good show. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions, but I've already kind of said them before on this podcast. But Liam, do you want to go first on what you're expecting?
I was actually just thinking back to you saying you think it'll be a good show then, and thinking back to the most recent Nintendo Direct we had, where it'd been, 2 years since we had a proper Nintendo Direct, and people being severely disappointed by it.
That one was a good one too, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, people, I think it's because, for me, seeing Mario Golf and stuff was great, right? But I think a lot of people, because of the length of time between them, the expectation was that we were going to see new Mario or new Zelda and stuff like that. And I think, Skyward Sword and all that wasn't exactly what people were happy about. But I think this is the one. This is the chance now for Nintendo to be like, okay, we have the next Smash character, obviously. And And also, I'm not going to say Metroid Prime 4. I don't think that game is anywhere close to being shown or announced, considering the stuff that's happened to it. But I do think it's time for... I don't think we're going to get a showing of Breath of the Wild 2, but we're going to see another, like, tease. You know, that atypical Nintendo, oh, it's still 2 years out, or it's still like a year away. But here is our just one more thing. Outside of that, probably, you know, more stuff about what's coming. They're gonna probably do Treehouse about Speed Golf and Mario Golf, and it's all nice and exciting. Maybe some more Animal Crossing updates and stuff. You think we'll see like a new Mario or something? Odyssey is what, 3 years old now? 4 years, getting on for 4 years old. Yeah. And 3D World doesn't really count. So are we gonna see another new Mario? Maybe.
I think this may be unpopular, but I think the door's closed on Mario now. The 35th is done, right? Other than Rabbids, I don't know if we're going to see anything more Mario for a while.
Was the 35th last year or was it this year?
2020.
It was last year, yeah, and then kind of wrapped up at the end of March.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I don't think they need Mario this year. I think like they have Mario Golf, and I think we'll see Nintendo shift towards celebrating Zelda, maybe a little bit of Metroid series in general, and
not Prime. Prime being the keyword here, not Prime, but Metroid something.
Right, it's going to be a 2D Metroid, right? I mean, there's rumors of there's the rumors of 2D Metroid, Prime 4, which is not coming this year, and then the Prime trilogy, which would be something they would announce before Prime 4, right? So I think what we'll probably see from Metroid is the 2D Metroid announcement, which, hey, I'll take anything, really, so I'll take that.
Yeah, same.
Do you think... Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Well, no, nothing. Just agreeing. Any Metroid at this point would be like a very, very good thing, in my opinion. And as for Mario, like, I liked Odyssey. I think I like the Galaxy ones better, and I liked Super Mario 3D World better as well. I don't know, something about the art direction of Odyssey didn't really do it for me, but like, if they... Like, I'm hoping to see Mario, even though it doesn't make sense to. If they showed a new Mario game, I think that'd be awesome. That's it.
I'm pretty optimistic, I think. I feel like, considering how much time Treehouse usually takes up afterwards, I feel like they probably have significant announcements enough to show some stuff off, and then leave the Mario Golf and some of the stuff later for this year that they want to show the demos for, like they usually do afterwards, and then maybe keep the main show to whatever the big announcements are. Probably a new Fire Emblem or something. I think Three Houses was quite a while ago as well. That series, is the series that keeps on giving for them too.
That seems like yesterday. Three Houses seems like it just came out to me. I don't know how long ago it was, but
almost 2 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it's been a while. Yeah.
And then, of course, Smash characters. Push, who do you think?
Which are?
I don't know.
I've got some thoughts.
Oh yeah?
Please tell us.
Well, they're crazy. The first one I don't take credit for. Actually, I was talking to Jeff Grubb the other day, and he mentioned one of the Rabbids may make an appearance, which I think is a good pick.
The Rabbids have a costume though.
Yeah. It's a good point. Just put a sword in their hand, it will be good to go, right? The other pick I had, since I've been playing around with Game Builder Garage, so the person sprite, or the person 3D model, I think he's going to be the next Smash character.
I can dig that. He is quite cute.
I'm totally messing around. I have no idea who's going to be the next Smash character, honestly. I've been saying Doom guy since the beginning, and I've always been wrong. So I'm just going to say Doom guy again.
I think Sakurai mentioned a few times that he wanted to put Mach Rider into the game, like as
Oh,
far
yeah.
back as Melee.
Yeah, because
really
you like
would
the name.
To see that. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a great theme song, like an obscure character. Like I like when he puts in those obscure characters, and I think like the last few like characters, like the DLC characters that we got, weren't really that. So I want to see something like that. I want to see Toad in Smash. Like I know like Peach uses Toad as a shield, but like come on, how have they not put Toad in Smash in all these years? Like now they have like Captain Toad. I think that would be a cool character. But hey, were we not supposed to talk about Smash? or just not until we got to the Nintendo section?
We can touch upon it. I think everyone's excited to hear about Smash as well. And Paper Metroid is gonna burst into flames if I don't mention Jack Frost. So, yeah, I think Jack Frost would be a very interesting pick for Smash.
Yeah.
Is it one or two characters? That's the question. Does Sakurai-san end up being the last character and we call it good at the end of E3, or do you think it's just one character?
For my personal sake, I'm hoping it's two, just so that we could be done with Smash speculation. And because
what will you do? How will
will
you live?
I can go outside. I can enjoy nature again.
What do you become? Do you cease to exist?
Yes.
You just move on to Kid Icarus next, right?
I can pursue new hobbies, maybe.
Like the new what is Mario Golf Speed Golf Online's battle mode, like whatever the new DLC characters are for that game.
Wait, so speaking of Smash, since we're already on the topic, one thing that really bothers me is for the last few Smash games, there's like empty spaces on the character select screen after the game's done development, and I don't know why Sakurai keeps doing that. You know, I'm really hoping that with Ultimate, because like apparently there's two characters left, right? But there's like, what is it, like 6 spots left? Like to really like square off the character select. I hope that he adds some Echo Fighters or like some free characters or something like that aren't part of the Fighters Pass. You know, just to like really end Ultimate development like with a square character select screen. That's my biggest hope for the Nintendo thing, that he's gonna do extra characters, like kind of like Piranha Plant, that like nobody knew about, and like they'd either be free or more echoes just to square it off.
The stage selection screen is really gonna annoy me, because that's like, at least with the character selection screen, it's like symmetrical, but the stage one, it's like missing just on the side.
Oh jeez. What's he doing?
The UI is such a mess in that game that I wouldn't get your hopes up.
Yeah, I know.
It's quite incredible how bad it is at times.
Yeah, I think it's the UI, like, because they use the same character selection screen for like multiple different modes, including like training mode and everything like that. It has to be like very versatile. So like in Word of Light, for example, when you rescue a character, it grows by 1 because now you can play as that fighter. And so it's never really been designed around a square. But it's really unfortunate, like when the main mode is versus and it's not symmetrical, or it's not, you know, it doesn't look pleasing.
But let's face it, I just want more characters. Like, I wouldn't be disappointed if they did a Fighters Pass Season 3, or like just kept adding to Smash Ultimate instead of making a new Smash game. Yeah, I don't know.
They've definitely like worked themselves into a corner with Smash Ultimate, because like, you know, no matter what, they're probably gonna have to cut characters next time, and if they cut characters, it's gonna be like so many people will be upset.
Wait, did you say next time? Do you think there's going to be a next time after this? I mean, this is it, right?
Smash is a game that keeps on giving to Nintendo.
Yeah, how do you throw away something that sells 20 million copies?
No, I know, but how do you top this? I mean,
exactly. That's the issue.
That's the difficult part, right?
But haven't we almost said that with every single one of them?
That's true. That
Pretty
is
much,
true. Yeah.
Ultimate is different because the tagline of "everyone is here" is kind of like, oh, well, you've definitely fucked yourselves there. You know, you've promised something, and it's weird because we speculate now. It's not that it isn't fun to speculate anymore. It's the boundaries have been lifted. Like with the older games, your imagination could run wild because you could think of anything tangentially Nintendo.
Yeah.
But there was always that boundary of limitation where if somebody said Master Chief to you, you'd be like, what are you talking about? But if somebody says Master
Shrek.
Chief, yeah. But if somebody says that to you now, you're like, wait, what if it is actually Master Chief? It's like there's no boundary anymore. Now the fact that like once you had Cloud and you had Bayonetta and you started having characters in it that come from franchises that are very, very tangentially related to Nintendo platforms, not just Nintendo. It's almost like, well, any video game character ever could now feature. So it's maybe not as fun because it's just comes up the craziest things. And people still get angry about it, which is so strange to me.
Yeah.
But hey ho.
Yeah, I think everything we get in addition to like at any point until the end of development is like a blessing. Like it's I don't know. I think it's always fun to see what they added to it. And then I think that when the next Smash game comes around, it's not an if. They're making way too much money to avoid making another Smash game. But I think they might start like from scratch and have like still have it be like a party fighting game, but it might be different. It might be kind of closer to Power Stone in like a 3D arena. And back to a smaller number of characters, and like they would try to like break the mold and do something different next time.
I think what potentially could happen would be that it does scale back down. They rebuild it, but then they do something similar to other fighting games where it's more of a live game that carries on over a numerous amount of years, where you get fighter updates more frequently. But it is then maybe focused more towards like those competitive players, because I feel like normal people who just enjoy Smash Brothers could probably be happy with Ultimate forever. There's no necessity to keep on going, but you're always going to have competitive players who want that next thing and that next character and to keep their scene alive and all of those things, and with that comes new games and new content. So once that stops, it's a bit difficult.
I didn't want to derail and talk about Smash, for this portion, like in too much detail. But I did want to say, man, I hope it's 2 characters as well, but it's probably going to be 1, right?
Yeah. I think we'll probably get the last one in September. Yeah, it just makes more sense from a marketing perspective, I think, to just keep Smash going just for a little bit longer, and to try to bring it to the holidays as well. But I want to ask about Zelda. We already have Skyward Sword announced for I think July. Do you think Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come this year? And do you think that there's other Zelda games coming out this year? I know that there's been a rumor for Twilight Princess or Wind Waker being re-released on the Switch. I personally don't really want those games to be re-released because I feel like we just got them on the Wii U, and I'm just like, okay, like, this is the 4th time you brought Twilight Princess out, Nintendo. Like,
stop selling it for $60, please.
Yeah,
I can't help myself.
To answer your question, I don't think Breath of the Wild is this year. If you go back to the February Direct when Anuma-san basically apologized, he said, "We're sorry. It's been taking a while. You'll need to hold on a little longer, and we'll have more to announce later this year." Well, I think E3 is the perfect time to announce what they have planned for Breath of the Wild 2. But honestly, I maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, but I expect a trailer, a new trailer of the game, and at the end of it, it's just going to say 2022, and I think that's going to be enough to get people hyped, right? I mean, if we have a date, I mean, release dates don't mean anything anymore. No one puts like an actual day on a release date anymore. They put like a month or a year, and it's okay to put 2022 on the end of that trailer because people know it's coming next year. So I expect that we see something along those lines. As far as the other two games you mentioned, we're probably going to see them in a collection push. To be honest with you, we are going to see Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, get announced as a bundle for later this year. I expect something along those lines.
You think it'll come in a bundle?
I think so. I think it's going to be Zelda's answer to 3D All-Stars.
How about
I think
we'll see that.
Yeah.
As far as other Zelda stuff, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, they could give us, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in some capacity. They could even go further back in their library. But it's really difficult to really predict, what they're going to show us. But I would say, look, the low-hanging fruit for me are Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD.
Yeah.
Because you're right, they already exist on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be the easiest to bring to the Switch, for sure.
I'd like to
Give us
see...
Breath of the Wild too, please. Trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that could happen for sure.
It's Nintendo's Elden Ring. If we get that, then it's a good E3. It's a good showcase, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being greedy, if we could have Advanced Wars or at a push, Fire Emblem is fine. I do like Fire Emblem, but Advanced Wars. If I'm being greedy,
I would love Advance Wars, even just like a remake or just a port of the classic.
Or even like what was it, like Battalion Wars? It was called in Europe, which was like the Wii remakes of the Advance War games
for the GameCube, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it started on GameCube, and then there was the Wii one. Even something like that. Bring that back.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it back.
It's time.
Yeah.
Look, we got Metal Slug Tactics. Why not? Just more tactics, please.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People in the chat are saying like Oracle remakes. That would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Those games were great. Nerbion is. Nerbion says in the style of Link's Awakening. I think that's probably the way they'd go with those, but I'd rather not see it in that style. I wasn't a huge fan. I kind of wish they made remade Zelda 1 and 2 in the style of like the key art from Zelda 1 and 2. I don't know, it looked so much different back then, kind of like post-apocalyptic almost. Yeah, and then it kind of like went into like the direction that it's in now, which is kind of like tribal and like really like glowing lasers and stuff. I want to see like a really like not like a dark and grim take on Zelda, but just I don't know, more retro, more like 80s anime kind of style. I think that'd be super awesome. But then that's just me being wishful, I guess. I don't think they're gonna do that.
They should bring the aliens from the Breath of the Wild concept.
And Edgelord Stoner Link in his like jeans and jacket.
But yeah,
what about I guess they'll have maybe some of the Pokemon stuff, like Arceus or whatever. Possibly.
Maybe. I mean, the Arceus trailer they showed us, it was obviously a very early build of that game.
I would certainly hope for that.
So, yeah, I mean, well, the perception was right. So hopefully it is. So yeah, there's probably a chance we'll see a new trailer of that game. Hopefully they've tightened that up and it looks a lot better than it did. But I'm pretty hyped about that game either way. I love the premise of that game. I'm very curious about it.
Yeah, I'm excited
Yeah,
that
it does
they're.
feel like it's truly the open world Pokemon. Sorry, Push.
Oh, it's okay. I was gonna say I'm excited for them to mix up the formula in a big way this time around.
Here's a question: what about Xenoblade Chronicles?
I would really like a Xenoblade X port for Switch. I really enjoyed that game. I feel like it's a very underappreciated RPG. It doesn't have as much personality as Xenoblade Chronicles does, but considering how well the remake did recently, but X, just incredible gameplay. The robots in it are amazing. The world is amazing. I would love to see that on the Switch and be able to play it again.
Are you thinking Xenoblade 3 MVG?
I'm hoping for Xenoblade 3. Will we get it? I don't know. Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah. I guess I'm fanboying a little bit now, but yeah, give me Xenoblade 3 for 2022.
Dude, they kind of change things between the games, right? Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2, they have different combat systems, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I wonder what kind of direction they would go for the third one.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where they take that.
Medieval.
But yeah, Nerby in the chat also mentioned WarioWare, and I know that Nintendo had that survey recently that was asking people if they would buy a $50 WarioWare, which is, of course.
You think that means anything?
I do think that we're due for a WarioWare title. Like we had the 3DS one, the gold or gorgeous, and that one it wasn't like a new experience. It was it had a story and everything, but it was just a lot of the old classic mini games. I think we're due for a that type of game on the Switch, because like we had 1-2 Switch, but not really like a mini game collection. So I think WarioWare is going to be the answer.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a really great game to see running on the Switch. And yeah, I think all the WarioWare games, honestly, every single one that they ever made was just top tier, So I think this could be really hype.
Yeah, I just hope that it's like a new one and not like WarioWare collection,
Yeah. I hope they do something not like 1-2 Switch, but my favorite WarioWare is the Wii one, and just the way it used the Wiimote is still etched in my brain as like a game designer, is like one of the most intuitive and just fun things I've done to play games in a different experience. I feel like WarioWare can really take advantage of the Joy-Cons in interesting ways and do something that 1-2 Switch kind of tried to do but kind of executed poorly. It would be great to see a WarioWare come out in that vein and do like a hybrid of the older games, but also the sort of what they did with the Wii version and the amount of like interesting and fun stuff you can do multiplayer. I would love that.
Well,
that would be cool.
I think it's about time that we start wrapping things up. So any last predictions? Any last words?
Actually, yeah. There's I didn't hear too much about this, but wasn't there supposed to be like, or rumored to be like, a new Kirby game?
Oh yeah.
That was gonna be like kind of like taking the series back to like Kirby Superstar like style gameplay, and like 4 players, like action and like no gimmicks. Like I think I read something about that on Twitter somewhere, but I didn't look into it too much. But
there was a data mine for Kirby Fighters that said that the control scheme would be like 3D. We don't know if the game would be full 3D or whatever, or if that's just an element of it. But yeah, it's possible that we'll get a 3D Kirby game, and everything kind of points to that being part of Nintendo's E3 presentation, because like I think Hal has been working on a new title since Star Allies. Star Allies is like 3 years old now, right?
Yeah, a couple of years old now. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Donkey Kong? I mean, that's got an anniversary as well, and no one seems to remember Donkey Kong. So, anything from Donkey Kong at E3? Anything this year from Donkey Kong?
Do Retro have the ability to work on anything else other than Metroid at the moment in time?
I doubt it.
The rumor is that that Nintendo is working on the Donkey Kong game. That's been like a rumor for a while now.
Yeah, EAD's working on it, right?
Yeah. So it wouldn't be Retro, actually. And that could be interesting if Koizumi and his team tackle on Donkey Kong again. I actually wouldn't mind like another Jungle Beat.
I would love it. Another Jungle Beat. I wonder if all we get is like a Donkey Kong 99 Battle Royale type game, that they've done. Which would be kind of cool, actually. That'd be a nice little celebration to have. But I do wonder how deep they are going to go with that franchise, with that series.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope they do more of the 99 series and the 35 and think of more interesting things they can do. I think who would have thought we'd be where we're at, where we had like Mario 35 and we've now had Pac-Man, Tetris. It'd be so great to see more old retro franchises kind of remixed, like what was it called? NES remix, like the 3DS games, like the kind of stuff they were doing to remake those games, but doing this idea of like a multiplayer version. It would be so cool to see old series modified in these multiplayer ways. That'd be a really cool thing to see.
Totally. Yeah. Karnov 99.
Well,
No?
I think that. I think that basically wraps up our show.
099. Yeah, everyone's on the track at the same time.
That would be F-Zero GX 99. That'd be so amazing.
Now, see, now we've opened up a can of worms. I would love F-Zero, but this is definitely, we're in fanboy territory now.
Yeah. Well, I did promise that we would end by 1:30 a.m. So I'm afraid that we have to wrap things up. So Liam, do you want to tell where people can find you?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been lovely chatting to you guys. Thank you so much for this. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at LiamBME. I just tweet about Japan and games. It's always really dumb, so don't worry about it. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, and Matt Cap?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Push. It was fun. This is the first time I did something like this, so I mean, I guess I'm not too much into like looking at like game rumors and stuff, but I think I'm gonna get more into it. You can find me on Twitter at MattCap1. I post stuff about the games that I'm working on and pixel art and music on occasion. And that's it. Thanks for having me. It was fun, guys.
Okay, and MVG?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Push. It was fun. Great to meet with Liam, yourself, and Matt. Had a blast. You can find me on Twitter at ModernVintageG. I'm pretty active on there. I usually tweet multiple times a day. If you want to follow my YouTube channel, you can subscribe at Modern Vintage Gamer. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and it was awesome talking with you guys. I would love to do like a more like a developer focus roundtable, like sometime in the future, like where we can talk about the games industry, kind of like have meta conversation.
I was gonna say it's been nice actually talking to people about being excited about games, but all developers. Usually I'm the odd one in the room, and this kind of thing.
So yeah,
Push, that sounds awesome. By the way, whenever you want to set that up, just let me know. I'm sure I'll be available for it.
awesome.
Same.
Yeah. I'll definitely set that up sometime in the near future, probably July. But yeah, I'd love to have you guys on again, and thank you guys, everyone in the audience, for listening for this conversation. I hope you enjoy E3, and I'll be back probably next week to have another live stream discussion. So please look forward to that. I'll see you guys.
Yeah.